friends, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do a list of the 10 books that you should read to help you escape the quarantine. So I watched a video by my good friend Bree who did this like books to read when you need a hug, and I thought that was such a good idea and such a great video that me, being the copycat that I am, thought, hey, why don't I just steal her idea? But I read a lot of thrillers and books about people wanting to kill one another, and that's not really something that you read when you need a hug. So instead, we're going to do 10 books to read when you need to escape the quarantine, because we all are stuck in home. Most of us are stuck at home. Mentally, we can be in different worlds, in different places, and doing all kinds of amazing different things. So for my list, I broke it down by genres, and I picked 1 or 2 books to fit that genre. So let's get right into the stack because I have a lot of books in front of me. So number 1 is fantasy, and I picked Peace and Turmoil by E.B. Brooks. This is the only book that I haven't actually completed the entire book because this guy is a chunker. I did really enjoy it. I'm not going to give like huge synopsis or synopsi. I don't know how to say it. I'm just going to basically give you like a brief rundown of why I think you should read this book. It is a big guy. That's why I haven't finished it, because I just haven't had the time to sit down and devote to something like this. But right now is the perfect time to delve into a big, thick fantasy. First of all, the cover is just to die for. And the book is really good. So essentially, it's like a bunch of years, I think like 30 years after a big war, and there's all these different countries, and you kind of follow different people within those different territories and whatnot. And there's like the Dagger, and there's Guinevere, who is like a super awesome heroine. So she's really like a really strong female character. You've got dragons, you've got magic, you've got people trying to screw one another over, and this is a good book, so pick this up. I'm not a huge fantasy reader. This is really one of the first big fantasy books I've started reading, and so far I'm liking it. Now let's get into thrillers. This is one where I had to have 2 books. So the first one is going to be The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I love this book so much. I just love this one so much. So this is a great book if you want to be creeped the fuck out. So basically, chick goes to a really cool house in the middle of nowhere in Scotland to be a nanny, and it's a crazy smart house, like crazy smart, and it's really creepy, and you don't know, is it a ghost, is it just a smart house, is something bad going on with the people in the home? You don't know till the end, and it is like, turn the lights out, read this in the middle of the night, and you will jump at every sound. The second thriller, The Silent Patient. I don't have a physical copy of this one because I read this on audiobook, and I highly recommend the audio version because it has 2 different perspectives. So basically, chick kills her husband, doesn't talk for like years, and so you're following the psychotherapist who's wanting to try to like make her talk while she's in the mental institution. Her perspective is through journal entries, so you see what's going on now and then everything leading up to the murder through her journals. And I like the audiobook because you have 2 different narrators. Awesome. Historical fiction. Another one where I had to have 2 books. First one, A Gentleman in Moscow. This is a great book to read when you can't leave the house, because it's about a guy who can't leave a hotel. So basically, the count, he is sentenced to like life imprisonment basically in the hotel that he lives in. And it spans decades, and it's about everything. It's love and friendship and family, and I mean, if this guy can live 50 years or 40 years or 30 years or how many freaking years, I can't remember, in one location, we can manage to make it a couple of months. Because he didn't even have the internet, you guys. Like, sure, he had a hotel to play in, but we have the internet. The internet, guys. We have YouTube. We can converse on Twitter. He had the people in the hotel, and that's it. And it is a beautiful book, and one I just absolutely adore with my whole heart. Second one, Montauk. I chose this one because I also love this book, and because you can't go outside and you can't go to the beach. You can read about B going to Montauk. I want to say it's on Long Island. I don't really know, but anyways, she lives in New York. She goes to the beach for the summer because her husband sends her there, and he just ignores her because he's kind of a douche. And that's not a spoiler, like that's like you'll find out on like page 2, I think, that he's kind of a douche. And so it's a beautiful story about her and her journey of, I don't want to give anything away, but go into this book just knowing that it is good and there's a love story and you see her find her strength, and it's just a beautiful story of her making friendships and finding out who she is and falling in love and dealing with a douchey husband. And the ending, I'm not even, it is so good. It is just so good. So go and read that one because it's amazing. I don't have it because I got it as an e-arc, and I need to actually buy a copy because I want to have it, and I actually think I want to do a reread of it very soon. Now the next book is also historical, but I decided to break historical fiction and historical romance, 2 separate categories, because those are very different books. So this one, like historical romance, is more like bodice ripper, sexy time historical books, and I am all about that trash. So I talked about Winning My Love like a gazillion times on my channel, so I'm not going to do that one again. So I picked my second favorite Judith McNatt book, which is also Beat to Hell because it's been read so many times. It has no cover. I need new copies, you guys. Oh, so bad. This one is called Almost Heaven. This is amazing. So this is about Elizabeth Cameron. So basically, it's like early 1800s. She goes to a party. She meets a guy. They start to kind of fall for each other, but like they're not going to do anything because it's like the 1800s. You're not supposed to do that. Well, something happens and people think that they did something. She was supposed to marry somebody else. He calls off the engagement. Her brother goes missing, and she is stuck living essentially on her own, but her uncle is like in charge of her, and he decides like, hey, you're kind of like, this is a downer. I don't want to do this anymore. I just need to find somebody to marry you. And back when she was like out in society and people were trying to marry her, she had a bunch of people ask for her hand in marriage, and her brother kept turning them down. And so the uncle, in his infinite wisdom, writes a letter to all the guys that have ever asked for her hand in marriage, and happened to include Ian Thornton, the guy that she got in trouble with, who absolutely hates her now, in this list. And says, yo, I'll send her properly chaperoned to live with you for 14 days to see if you guys still have the thing for each other. Oh my god, such a bad idea. Only 3 people respond with a yes. 2 weirdos and Ian. That was an accident though. So then she ends up getting stuck together with him for 2 weeks. He doesn't want her there. She doesn't want to be there. And there is some steamy love. So this is a great one if you like this kind of bodice ripper type books. Okay, so editing tomorrow here, totally realized I forgot a book. So for the romance category, I chose the book Remember Me by Sophia Kinsella. I don't know how to say her name. She's the chick that does all the shopaholic books. Never read a shopaholics book, but I do love this one. This is actually a reread that I did last year. I read it for the first time like 10 years ago, and then I reread it back in 2019, and I loved it just as much then as I did the first time. So basically, it's about a chick who hits her head one night, leaving a bar with some friends, and the next thing she knows, it's like, I think it's like 5 or 10 years later, she's married. She's rich. She's like lost weight and gotten work done, and she has no idea what happened in the last 10 years. And it's adorable, it's cute, it's funny, it's touching, and it's just, go read it. I've done both audio and physical copy, and I love it in both ways. Okay, the next one for YA, I went with a series. This is the part where you judge me, okay? This has always been my dirty little secret series, and I'm going to let the cat out of the bag and just say I love this series. I read it a lot like when I was in my early 20s. I devoured these books. And that would be the entire Gossip Girl series. Just holding this in my hand, my IQ has dropped a few points, and I feel like I need to read Tolstoy just to like balance it out. But these are so bad, you guys. They're so silly and just ridiculous and trashy, and I am all about that trash, okay? These are fast, so if you're under quarantine, you can't leave the house, and you just want a series that you can just rip into that is ridiculous and over the top and just fun, this is going to be the series for you. So if you've seen the show is actually like 1,000 times better than these books, okay? But I mean, you've got all the same people. The format's fun because you have book, and then you've got like actual stuff from Gossip Girl, like her actual posts and stuff. So it's interesting. It goes in order. Like each book I think lasts like a month in real time. But yes, this is a lot of fun, so I definitely recommend checking it out if you're bored and you just want to read some trash. The last category that I have is nonfiction, and so I went with two. The first one, this one will just break your heart, but the strength of this family is just inspiring. So it's Stolen Lives by Malika Gafur. This is a true story. This is her memoir. She was basically raised as a Moroccan princess, and then when her biological father, they thought he was trying to like take over the kingdom, they actually took her entire family and put them in captivity for 20 years. And the things that these people have endured was just all kinds of horrible and just disgusting. Like, it'll make your stomach just feel sick. But it is very good. And so again, if she can last 20 years in horrible conditions, we can last a couple of months in our houses with Netflix. And then the last one is I Can't Make This Shit Up by Kevin Hart. I love this one. Listen to this on audiobook because he narrates it and he adds stuff that was never even in the original book. It just really shows like him going from his fucked up childhood to the Kevin Hart that we know and love today. And so it's just a fun listen to while you're cleaning, cooking, whatever you've got to do. Just put this on in the background, listen, it's fun. He's hilarious, and he's actually really, really inspiring as well. That's it. That is all the books that I have for you now. I think I got them all. So go read a bunch of books and enjoy. I mean, it's hard to say enjoy being under quarantine because this is a serious situation. People are sick. It's a big deal. But the more you stay home, the safer we all are. So grab a bunch of books, leave a list down below if you have any that you think I should read while I'm staying home, and we'll read a bunch of books together. So with that, please go write some words, read lots of books, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!